Black Desert Online has been making some waves since the first trailer aired way back in 2012, and this beautiful MMORPG came out of nowhere, but we quickly learned that the developer Pearl Abyss was founded by the producer of Continent of the Ninth Seal. This South Korean studio clearly knew what it was doing, and the feature list impressed nearly as much as the amazing visuals and character design. Naturally, Black Desert Online captured the attention of many players all over the world, as well as that of the publishers, granting distribution in countries such as South Korea, Japan, and Russia. As for Western territories, Pearl Abyss has stated that this version should be released much later in North America and Europe. But while the wait is long, it's difficult to see this game not reaching our shores. It's a very good sign that an English client is already in development. One more hint that Black Desert is really set to release in English-speaking countries. Keep your fingers crossed. With the second Korean closed beta finally over, we managed to explore it quite a bit, and the result was an amazing amount of gameplay footage and system explained, even if Korean isn't exactly your native language. Please note that this article only reflects our opinion on the second Korean closed beta, and that the game will surely receive many changes before release.
FreeMMOStation.com.
One of the disappointments, so to speak, of the first beta was the absence of any sort of character creation system. What we got in the second beta is easily on par with the best of the class, such as Blade & Soul or Phantasy Star Online 2, but we're tempted to say it's even better. Not only do you get the usual options, you also have an amazing tool to customize the hair, from the lengths to curls to even more. Then you have several facial and body areas that you resize at your will, add muscles, and even choose a pose to rock your awesome character to your friends. This is character creation done right. The second beta only included 4 characters: Sorceress, Female Ranger, Giant, and Warrior. There's some ongoing debate about gender lock, but it seems that some classes will be gender locked while the majority will have male and female counterparts. For example, the Valkyrie is the female equivalent to the Warrior, and the Wizard will be the male counterpart to the Sorceress. However, we're fairly confident that each counterpart will have different skills. With the Wizard being an old man, it's difficult to see him moving around in the same acrobatic way as a Sorceress. So our bet is that all classes could end up gender locked in some aspect, even with their respective counterparts, since the skills will probably be different. But we'll see. Before we delve into the mechanics, let's take a moment to look at the visuals. Black Desert uses a proprietary engine, and the results are actually astounding. The character detail and animation is top of the class, and the game world is just beautiful and diverse. From the beautiful forests to the intricate and living towns, it's a pleasure to behold. Sure, there are some issues, mostly with a severe pop-in, and it gets a bit slow in crowded cities, but we're confident that that will improve before the next beta. The best part of this game is the world look and feel. While Black Desert doesn't have better textures or more polygons than other MMOs such as Terra Rising or ArcAge, this is a game world that offers a scale that feels real, a living, breathing place where things go on without your interference. The game world also has an accurate color palette and lifelike architecture that makes some of the scenarios photorealistic. There's also a weather system that you can see in detail on the world map. You can see where it's raining and where it's not, and there's even a temperature and humidity map. Rain and storm are pretty nice effects, and it makes the world look wet. Actually wet. The objects and even your character gear gets this wet look. After the rain stops, there are still effects like puddles of water, and the roads actually seem all muddy. That's a unique feature that's still very rare to see even if we talk about the retail offline AAA games. So the overall world seems pretty big, but not with as large extensions as in other online games, and maybe this makes the different zones a bit small for such a massive game. ArcAge feels like a more open game, for example, but perhaps this is just because there's still parts of the world not yet revealed. There's supposedly a large desert out there somewhere in the game, as seen in some trailers. It's really nice to be able to see big structures from a very long distance. This gives the game world that essential feeling of being a true, well-defined place, and not just a bunch of zones. You have all the options you need to rearrange the user interface and also have full camera control, so you can zoom in and out on your character, place the camera in different and unlikely positions, and even add some cool filters to the mix. The combat system is basically the same as C9, with a lot of key combinations instead of a full shortcut bar. The speed is pretty much the same, more fast-paced than the first closed beta, and this kind of speed seems more suited for small duels, small-scale combat. In the large-scale combat, this kind of fast-paced arcade movements may turn out to be a bit too much. Perhaps something a little bit more strategic and a little bit less speedy, like Vindictus, could be the best choice, but the studio is surely still tweaking combat before release. You can use the shortcut bar with most of the skills, but the combat gameplay is pretty natural with the key combinations. The shortcut bar can be used for only a few skills in the potions, and that's it. Black Desert includes auto-aim or manual aim options, so you can choose your preferred style. The auto-aim also offers a semi-lock-on feature, so it's great for minor mobs, but sometimes you don't know where the attack is going to go exactly when there are multiple targets. However, during this closed beta, we stumbled across a few hiccups. Sometimes using the auto-aim, you find yourself hitting an object instead of a mob and locked onto it. You can unlock by stopping the attack, but since there are usually some objects on the battlefield, this is something that's bound to happen a few times. There's also a point-and-click movement mode that you can activate by pressing the control key at any time. Pluribus added some interesting simulation aspects or restrictions to Black Desert that bring added depth to the MMORPG. To begin with, you cannot teleport magically. The only teleport is your death respawn. When fishing, there's a timer before the fish rots, so don't forget about it. There's a weight system, meaning that if your inventory becomes full, you're going to need some kind of transport, like a mount or carriage to transport your goods. There is no level limit either, or item-bound system. You can get relationship benefits from NPC by helping them or greeting them like we see in Dragon Nest, and you need to get knowledge from monsters, places, and other stuff in order to get quests or even see the mob HP bar. So, Black Desert definitely already has a lot of quests. It seems like every class has its own story path, but some quests do intertwine, and most of them are common to all classes actually. It seems that their paths become the same after a few levels in the main story. In general, quests usually don't give any experience points. The more common reward from quests are the contribution points, as well as coins that you can sell at the trade NPCs for money and even skill points. There are NPCs that give you items for rent, so you can rent those items with contribution points. These points are required for things like node connection, essential for the trading system, or getting houses. Since you start playing the game, there is a Black Spirit companion that guides you and gives you some quests when you level up. You will get some gear reward or even your first mount, a donkey, at level 15. You can play the game without doing a single quest, since they are not required to level up, but you will severely lack on knowledge and other advantages, and you're going to get a lot less skill points than other people at the same level that are doing quests. You can start leveling from level 1 just by hunting around. This is a completely hardcore grind-friendly game at the moment of this beta, but it's obviously subject to change. It's all cool at first, but after a while, when all the hype settles, that bitter grind feeling sinks in. The leveling becomes really repetitive as soon as you leave your quests. Quests don't give any experience, as mentioned before, but since there are quests that make you hunt some monsters, you get the experience from them. The only way to level up fast, at least in this closed beta, is to mindlessly grind, but hopefully this will be toned down during the next betas. Let's hope that Pluribus adds another way to level up. Grinding isn't very interesting, like we all know, but it's not like they should reward players too much for completing a quest. Striking a good balance between these aspects will be very important for pleasing all gaming cultures worldwide, those who love to grind and those who prefer to complete quests to level up. There was PvP in the closed beta, but it was very basic PvP. As definition of player versus player, you can attack other players, but that pretty much sums up PvP at the moment. At level 35, you get a quest that enables you to attack other players that are also enabled for PvP. You also get a skill reset just in case you need to make a PvP-focused build. If you don't do the quest, you're automatically enabled for PvP at level 40. The reset skill is a good idea, but the skills are not currently focused at PvP at all, so this still needs a bit of polishing and balancing. Just like in other games, you can see if a player is enabled for PvP just by looking at his name color. Green for low level without PvP enabled, blue for good alignment, and red for chaotic, which is pretty much a player killer. When a player dies, killed by another player or monster, you lose some experience, and there's a chance that you drop an item. There's no duel system at the moment, and there is also friendly fire. All this points to a PvP mode that is in very initial stage and not fully developed. Since there's no healer class, the use of potions is also a necessity, but makes PvP survival/success based on how many potions you do have. Very positive is the way how you can use the environment to hide from other players. You need to go ahead to see if it's a friend or foe, just like in real life. You need to see the face of some people to know who they are. This makes skills like the typical invisibility less necessary, since you can use some bush or even a tree to hide from other people. Sieges are a bit chaotic at the time of this closed beta, much due to the work-in-progress PvP system. The first siege was actually cancelled since the castle was very bugged, not many people were able to siege. The castle siege was more about server handling than to test the siege feature. That was the overall feeling that we had. There was no siege weapons, and with friendly fire added into the mix, using AoE skills would lead to a chaotic outcome. This is a feature that will definitely get more work. Taming a horse isn't just part of the fun of getting a mount. It's a minigame that you have to win to use that beautiful horse you just stumbled upon. First of all, you're going to need a lasso, or more since it's not certain that you get it the first try. You can also buy some carrots to increase the tame success rate. Lassos and carrots can be bought at a stable NPC, so it's useful to get these soon. Once you're on a mount, you're still going to need to go to a stable to register it to be yours. You cannot ride at full speed until then. After you get your horse, you'll like to level it up. To level it up, you just need to ride it, and when it reaches 100%, your horse will gain a level. One of the patches installed during the beta made tents a lot cheaper, from 40k to 2k, and the result of that was players began to use them. You can use your tent as a personal space in the wild. You can purchase or gather seeds and cultivate in the space around your tent. It's similar to Arcade, but simpler. And when you finish in that zone, you can always pick up your tent again and move to another place. Cultivating carrots in your tent is way cheaper than buying them at NPCs. While we didn't get to cow milking quest yet, we were able to play the minigame. It seems that just like the cart and other minigames, you don't get anything from the action, no milk in this case, just the reward from the NPC. Black Desert is not a simulator in any way as far as trading goes, but it does have some cool realistic limitations. Each warehouse is individual for each town or outpost. Even the auction house is localized to the town, so this makes you travel from town to town looking for goods from NPCs or players. This way the map becomes very alive and full of traffic. You can send goods automatically with the freight system. Warehouses are shared by all your characters, so you can send something to another character that is far away. Parkour. It's not something to really be excited about so far. Besides the option to climb a few fences, and it does make traveling a little bit more interesting, say climbing to astonishing heights, enjoy the breathtaking sights, don't expect much in the way of athleticism, acrobatic parkour. If this is going to be improved, we don't know, we're still not sure. So Black Desert seems very complete in some aspects and still quite undeveloped in others. FreeMMOStation has done really a marvelous job with the character creation, and the quest system is already very rich. With a lot of quests and NPC intimacies, it seems to be working very nicely. The knowledge system is also a big feature with lots of information, and it looks very complete already. On the other hand, key features like PvP or leveling seems a bit undeveloped. Leveling is very much hardcore grinding at the moment, and maybe this is one thing that may change for Western audiences, or even altogether like in Asia. Some cool features in other games like dynamic events were not present in Black Desert. The world seems pretty full of life, but lacks some degree of interaction in a way. You see lots of NPCs walking around, the transport system makes the roads feel very alive, but it's not exactly an extremely interactive world at all. The developers should also add some dynamic events like town or zone invasions, and possibly this could come in the future. There's also some cutscenes, but for some reason there's not really an awe factor to those cinematics. Games like Blade and Soul have done it far better, and there's still room for improvement here though. The current lack of voice adds to the oddity of the cutscenes. Our experience had an understandable amount of lag. With this in mind, it's hard to appreciate the real value of the enemy AI, since they were also affected by this latency. The enemies follow our lag delay position, and that made PvE easier overall. But in general, the AI didn't show much of a challenge, other than spamming some potions. The current raid bosses were very static, and the only challenge was just not being hit, since they really hit hard, but it wasn't quite impressive at all at this stage. To sum it up, Black Desert Online is very playable already from a global point of view, but still lacks definition at some key features, and it doesn't seem ready for an open beta soon. FreeMMOStation has improved the game a lot from the first closed beta, and there will surely be a lot more improvements before the next closed beta. Nonetheless, Black Desert clearly has a lot of potential, and it's shaping up to be one of the most significant MMORPG releases of recent years. The Russian version of Black Desert Online was already confirmed as free-to-play and with no IP block, so let's wait for more news on the other versions.